Howdy folks, I'm Hasty Hassle's Hairstreak, heartily hassling hissing house cats.
I'm Amber.
And here are more hissing house cats for us to harass. Like, I don't know why you would do that as a butterfly. It just seems kind of like a bad idea. I mean, they do know that cats eat bugs, right? I do know this. I don't know why I'm doing it. I guess it's like a moth attracted to a flame. Not a good idea. Bad idea. And folks, if this is your first time viewing or you're a new subscriber, then welcome. This is a show where we teach you how to be a creep for the next 20 minutes.
No, that's not what we teach.
We're going to have the best creepy things. We're going to teach you about negging. We're going to teach you about coercion and manipulation, all kinds of great things.
The point isn't to teach you this. The point is to teach you that these are bad.
Let's get started. All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? My boyfriend exposed me at a baseball game. I'm a 25-year-old female, and I've been dating my boyfriend, a 25-year-old male, for about 8 months. And to be honest, immaturity has been a constant issue in our relationship. He constantly makes crude sexual jokes and does weird, inappropriate things around me. And I've told him many times that it makes me uncomfortable and grosses me out. It's not playful or flirty, it's childish and off-putting. He's humped my leg, my pillows, and told me about his wet dreams like it's something that I would want to hear. I even broke up with him once because of this behavior, but we ended up getting back together. I haven't been intimate with him in almost 2 months because I genuinely feel repulsed by him now. I've told him this and explained that his behavior has killed any physical attraction I had. He says that he's concerned about it, but nothing changes. Well, this weekend we went to a baseball game. I was wearing some loose off-the-shoulder shirt, and throughout the game, he kept sticking his arm up under it to try and grab my chest. I kept pushing him away and telling him to stop. Then, right near the end of the game, he looked at me and said, I love you, and then pulled my shirt down, exposing my bra in a crowded stadium. I was completely stunned and immediately pulled my shirt back up. I asked him what he was doing, and he just laughed. For some context, he had been drinking and pretty much drinks every night. I genuinely think that he has a problem with alcohol. After the game, I brought it up again. I told him that being my boyfriend doesn't give him the right to touch me however he wants or violate me like that. He told me that it wasn't a big deal and said that no one saw anything and that I was overreacting. I told him that he had no social awareness, and he walked off, so I called an Uber and I went home by myself. Since then, he has been blowing up my phone, no apology, just saying that I misrepresented everything and asked me to come over. I haven't responded. I feel like I was totally disrespected and violated, and I don't think that I owe him another chance. But part of me wonders if I was too harsh for just walking away like that. Edit. For everyone asking why I've even taken him back in the past, I have only lived in my new city for 10 months or so, and he's one of the only people that I know. Not an excuse, but it was honestly just to cure my boredom. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, you're not the jerk, but I think it's definitely time to dump him for real. The fact that he does not respect your bodily autonomy at all is just despicable. Like, you've repeatedly told him to stop and made it clear you're not okay with this. I mean, he's made it clear he's not going to stop. If he's okay pulling down your clothes in a crowded stadium, like, what's he going to do next?
Yeah, I mean, that really worries me, right? And then he's trying to play this off like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? That's very coercive, right?
Right.
That's gaslighting. That's basically trying to treat OP like they're the one who's overreacting. You know, he's the victim here, and OP is his oppressor, and he's just trying to have a little fun, and she's making too big of a deal about it,
Like,
right?
you're underreacting, if anything,
Yeah,
OP.
yeah.
Like, do not answer anything from him ever again. Someone who respects you that little does not deserve your time of day.
No, and that's really what this boils down to. I mean, he shows on a constant basis, it sounds like, that he doesn't actually respect OP or their physical autonomy or their wishes for the most part, right? And I think that OP, you know, there are a lot of cures for boredom, like books, you know,
Well, that's the thing.
Netflix.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do. And, like, maybe find an activity so you can meet some other people in the city, you know. Look for, like, classes or sports or hobbies, any number of things, but stay away from this guy.
Well, and then I think OP, you know, the thing is, like, this sounds like there's probably abuse in this relationship.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there were more abuse and more red flags going on and coercion and whatnot. And, you know, the thing is that it can be really difficult when somebody normalizes abuse to try and, make you feel like you're going crazy, right?
Well, that's the thing is like everything he did in that stadium is so despicable.
Yeah.
And like, but OP is so desensitized to it at this point in time that she's worrying if she's giving him the raw deal and overreacting. And it's like, no, what he did was like, he should not be touching you without your consent, especially, I mean, not ever, but like, especially not in public.
Yeah.
Pulling down your clothes in public.
No.
Like, none of this is okay. All of this is abuse, and you should run and run far.
And sometimes what it takes is some extreme thing for someone to be snapped out of an abusive situation. Like, this was an extreme enough thing. He hadn't like desensitized her enough to the point where now she is at least starting to think about, well, maybe this is not really such a great thing, right? And hopefully this is the kick that she needs to get out of this relationship, because it does not sound like this guy is a good news at all. Plus, she's trying to wave away her feelings here by being like, well, he was drunk. Maybe he didn't really mean this. Maybe I am just overreacting.
It doesn't matter if he was drunk.
Yeah.
Like, he still violated your boundaries.
Exactly.
And if he does that when he's drunk, he should have the wherewithal not to drink. Like, it's incumbent upon him, if he becomes an abuser when drunk, not to drink.
Yeah, exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Moon Tonic says, my ex-boyfriend was like this, and I also eventually ended up being repulsed by him. It wasn't that I didn't love who he was deep down, but we were just two different people and he was extremely immature. Going to Walmart was a nightmare. Sitting passenger in the car was a nightmare because he would honk at random people for no reason, swerve in their direction to scare them, and was just a terrible driver. I refused to go out to eat with him because he was like constantly unintentionally disrespectful to the server. Like he didn't even realize what he was doing. I was mortified to be out in public together. A part of me thought that maybe he had Asperger's or something. Needless to say, I ended up leaving him. Sometimes things don't work out, and it's okay, girl, just to move on. You've got this. What do you think of that comment there?
I mean, there's some, I have some qualms with the way some of the stuff is framed.
Yeah.
First of all, like, Asperger's is an outdated medical term. The correct term is autism. Autism is not an excuse for
bad behavior.
Yeah. Like, it can explain behavior if someone hasn't been taught proper social cues. And there's nothing wrong with correcting someone and pointing out those things. But, like, being autistic does not mean that you can be a jerk to people.
Yeah. Like, someone who collects a lot of trains and is constantly surrounded by train paraphernalia and all those kinds of things might be autistic, right? Because they have a very niche interest in one particular thing. Not saying that that's the only thing that you need to be autistic, right? That is a characteristic that does not require you to be a jerk or not a jerk. That same person could also be a terrible person, terrible driver, honk at people and stuff like that, completely separate from the
well, that's the thing. Yeah, there's nothing in the diagnostic criteria for autism that says you have to be an insufferable jerk.
Yeah.
And in fact, many autistic people are like very kind and good-natured human beings. I like to think I fall more on that side than the jerk side of things. So I really hate like people using autism to explain, like, to excuse bad behavior. And even if it explains it, like, maybe sit down with this person and try and talk about the behavior. You know, if you really care about them, don't just like sweep it under their rug and be like, oh, they can't understand. Autistic people, we can understand, we can learn, we can change. We may have to have it pointed out to us, but we can do it.
Well, and then there's therapy, right?
Yeah.
Right, and that can benefit people a lot. And Opie replies, he does this too. He honks at random people out on jogs to quote unquote be funny. I mean, one of these days he's going to honk at the wrong person and give them a heart attack or something like that. It's not funny. It's really not funny.
No.
And Waste Worker 6122 says, obviously he's a flaming jerk, but his disgusting behavior is nothing new. You complain, but you tolerate it by remaining his girlfriend. Did you really expect a drunken jerk boyfriend to behave nicely at the game? You had plenty of reason to dump him before you went to the game. He's 25 years old and he acts like a petulant 15-year-old. Please show some self-respect, dump this guy, and find an adult date. Everyone's in the wrong. And OP replies, you're so right. I do need to respect myself and kick this drunken jerk to the curb for good. I mean, I don't, like, sometimes I question when people are like, well, you're a jerk to yourself, or you're a jerk because you're staying with somebody, right?
I mean, I think people have a lot of complex reasons why they stay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think victim blaming is helpful. And so I think it's fine to point out to OP that this is not good for her and that, you know, the harm that's coming from this, but I don't think it's fair to pin it on her. Like, because people, again, have all kinds of reasons, and there may be things beyond the boredom that OP is just like, doesn't even realize or just doesn't want to talk about on the internet with strangers.
Yeah.
That for why she stayed. And so it's not cool to victim blame people for staying in abusive relationships.
Well, and not to mention, OP didn't ask him to pull her top down.
Yeah.
Right. So in this particular case, it's not like OP knew that OP knew that he might be obnoxious.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess OP was probably prepared for him to be obnoxious. Right.
Right.
But they weren't expecting to go to a baseball game to be sexually assaulted.
Right. Well, and it's treading too close to victim blaming on that too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you knew what you were signing up for. No, if he hasn't done this particular behavior before, how would OP know?
Yeah. So I just don't know that it's particularly helpful. Sure, like, you can point fingers all day long, but at the end of the day, the person who's really in the wrong here that we can definitively point a finger at is the drunken jerk boyfriend who sexually assaulted his partner, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really who we can point a finger at. And I mean, sure, OP might have had other opportunities to leave and, you know, go and not take this guy back or anything like that, but that's neither here nor there at this point in time, right? Still didn't sign up to be assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And with JFG says, no means no, the fact that he didn't hear that or understand that and plays it off as you can't take a joke is juvenile. He will probably not change. You have mentioned this to him before. You've broken up with him over this. He does not care. Stay with him, and this is the rest of your life. You deserve better. Why did you go back with him last time? And OP replies, honestly, just out of boredom, living in a new city, and he's one of the only people that I know. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Kicking My Husband Out Over the Comment That He Made About My Kids at Dinner? I'm a 36-year-old female, and I have 2 kids, Mia, a 14-year-old female, and Liam, a 16-year-old male, from a previous marriage. They have done ice dancing together ever since they were little. Yes, before anyone asks, it's normal in the sport. They're a strong match, similar in size, and work very well as a team. Their routines are expressive and dynamic, but age-appropriate and nothing suggestive. My husband, Mark, a 38-year-old male, and I have been together for almost 7 years. He's been in their lives since they were young, and they've always called him their stepdad. And he used to be supportive, showing up to competitions, helping with rides, the usual. But over the last couple of years, his attitude has started to shift for some reason. He's starting to make weird comments about how close they are when they perform. Stuff like, they're always wrapped around each other, or it's a little strange how intimate the choreography can look, sometimes within earshot of the kids. I shut that down hard every time. We've had full-blown arguments about it. And after the last time, he swore that he would stop bringing it up. Well, fast forward a few nights ago, we had a couple of friends over for dinner. The kids were home and eating with us. One of the friends asked how skating was going, and the kids were talking about it even though it's off season. They're still training hard and keeping up with their practice. And then, again, Mark went there by being like, yeah, they train hard, but it's still weird how into it they are. Like they're siblings, and they're all over each other. It's a bit too much. Mia looked like she wanted to disappear. Liam just went quiet and stared him down, clearly mad. The table just went awkwardly silent, aside from an uncomfortable laugh from our friends, until someone changed the subject. I just felt done, but didn't make a scene right then and there. As soon as everyone left and we were alone, I confronted him. I told him that I couldn't believe that he would say something like that, especially in front of our friends and kids after he promised that he would stop doing it. He tried to act like it was just a one little comment, his opinion, and said that I was being too sensitive again. I don't know, this isn't just a small thing, and I don't want him around me or the kids if he's going to act like this, and he's not even apologized for it. I took him to pack some bags and go. He's staying at his mom's house, and she called me, going off about how I'm being dramatic, how Mark was just trying to express his concern, and that maybe deep down, I know it looks weird. I just hung up on her. Meanwhile, my ex-husband heard about it from Mia and Liam and contacted me right away. He told me that I did the right thing, and he has my back 100%, no hesitation. Mark has been texting me and calling me, saying that I blew things out of proportion and that I'm hurting the family over a throwaway comment. Now that I've had time to cool down, I'm wondering if I took things too far and I could have done things differently. So, am I the jerk for kicking him out? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. His behavior is uncalled for, and he has been repeatedly told not to make these gross comments. The kids have a sport that they are involved in, that they are very talented at, and there is nothing inappropriate about it. Like Opie said, it is very common in these kind of sports to have sibling pairs because they tend to have similar builds and to trust each other well enough to do, you know, the kind of dance moves you do, or, you know, the skating moves and whatnot. You have to have a lot of trust in your partner if you're going to like leap into the air and have them catch you. The way he is behaving is just flat out disgusting, and he's ruining the children's love for their sport, and like their happiness and their success is more important than his ability to make gross comments.
So I will say this. If he thought that there was sincerely something going on, like say he saw something where the brother made a pass at her or touched her inappropriately or something like that, he would be well within his right to talk to OP about this and, you know, get the ball rolling on this and say, this is unacceptable, you know, this has clearly gone too far, right? That can happen regardless of whether or not somebody is in a, you know, skating pair or not, right? Like there are, you know, cases of abuse that happen in families like this. But what he is doing here is completely out of line. Like there is no evidence, there's no preponderance of proof that there's something, you know, going on here. Everything that is happening is inside of his head. And that's where this gets disturbing, right? And the fact that he's thinking about his kids like that is even more disturbing. Like most parents won't look at their kids and be like, I bet they're boning. Right? Like, no, like that isn't something that goes through a parent's head, right?
Well, and like, again, if he had concerns about abuse, as you were mentioning, that's the kind of thing you have a conversation about in private behind closed doors. That's not the kind of thing you make jokes about in front of everyone.
And friends too, right? Like what he did here was specifically tuned to make them embarrassed so that they would not do the skating anymore, right?
And I mean, I think that I really hope that he doesn't ruin their joy for the sport, because it's really good to be active and to have things you're passionate about.
So I feel bad for the poor kids in this situation because they're being accused of something that, quite frankly, they shouldn't be being accused of. And I think that this guy, I'm glad the way OP handled this the way they did. They stopped giving him any more chances. They said, you're no longer allowed around us because you've proven that you're not a safe person to be around. And, you know, that's such a powerful moment, because it's really hard to walk away from a relationship like this, right? They've had 7 years together, and he was largely supportive during that time. So I'm sure it hurts a lot to have to ask him to walk away, right? So feel bad for OP, but I think they absolutely did the right thing here.
And I'm glad that the ex is on her side. Don't listen to his mom, and don't let his mom around the kids. Because you don't need people like that poisoning them and trying to insinuate something that's not happening.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Flying Home After My Boyfriend Drunkenly Peed in My Suitcase? I'm a 24-year-old female, and I've been dating my boyfriend, a 30-year-old male, for a few months. He recently moved to another state for work, so I flew on Saturday to visit him for the week. Things were great until Sunday night. Around midnight, I was jolted awake by the sound of a television crashing. I looked over and I saw him standing in the corner of the room, facing a wall. It was eerie. Then I realized that he was peeing in my suitcase. I yelled, but he was completely out of it. When I turned on the lights, he seemed confused and claimed that he had no idea what was happening. That's when I noticed that he had almost finished the entire bottle of vodka that we had bought earlier. He still denied being drunk. Now, I don't drink at all. My last relationship was with an alcoholic, and it was traumatic. My current boyfriend knows this. We agreed that he wouldn't drink heavily around me, and until that night, he had respected that boundary. He insisted on washing my clothes immediately. I waited fell asleep, and in the morning I found him passed out on the couch. I tried several times to talk to him about what happened, but he kept brushing me off, refusing to even sit up. Frustrated and hurt, I started packing what I could into the backpack because my suitcase was ruined. I told him that he had two options, talk to me or I would leave. He didn't respond. As I was about to walk out, he finally asked if I was serious. I said yes, I wasn't doing this again. He didn't stop me, so I left. I walked to a nearby Starbucks, called my mom and my best friend, then I booked the next flight home. About 20 minutes later, he texted me asking me what was going on. I told him that I was going home. His reply, all right then. Now he says that he was too drunk to remember, and it was unfair of me to leave before he sobered up. But in my view, he broke a clear boundary, tried to lie about it, and dismissed me when I needed to talk. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. You made it clear that you didn't want to be around someone who drinks heavily, and he went behind your back and did it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very clear boundary violation, and OP made it very, very clear that she didn't want anyone drinking around them, and he was fine with that boundary, and then he wasn't, right? Now, there could be a lot of reasons why he peed in OP's suitcase, like maybe he was sleepwalking, right? And maybe that was just something that happened. Maybe he was just so drunk that he, did this, right? But the fact of the matter is that he didn't even try to talk things out or give a valid response, right?
Right. Like, I think the bigger concern is the way he acted the next day, how he just completely dismissed and shut down and would not talk to OP about what happened, would not own up to doing something that hurt her, insisted, I wasn't drunk, I didn't drink that much, even though the evidence was very clear.
Yeah. So there's a lot of concerns here. There's a lot of red flags, and OP tried to talk about this like an adult. They tried to actually resolve this conflict in a healthy way, and when the person refused to talk to her, she took a very healthy approach and walked away from this relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that this was really good on OP. I think they demonstrated a lot of maturity, and they know what their boundaries are, and they know what their limits are. And while it's unfortunate that they have to walk away from this relationship, I think they're going to be happier and healthier for it in the long run, right?
Yeah.
And certainly, this is probably only going to reinforce the trauma that they have about alcohol and partners. So even if they don't feel shaken up about this event in the moment, it might be a good idea for them to talk to a therapist about this, kind of explore those avenues. That way, this doesn't further re-traumatize them from their previous experience with their partner who was drunk, an alcoholic. So I think that would be a good approach, because sometimes you never know what will further traumatize you, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And okay, Ring 3261 says, not the jerk, and you saw the real him. If he was so drunk to be nearly blackout drunk, then this is not his first rodeo. He is a flag. Now you know it, end it, and move on. And OP replies, totally agreed. This showed me who he really was, and I'm glad I saw it early. Time to move on. Well, I'm glad that OP is moving on. And Fun Reporter 8905 says, proud of you for dipping early and not waiting for him to change. And Lovely Stock 3057 says, you prioritized yourself and you're not the jerk for that. And OK Ring 3261 says, yep, go with your gut always. Good luck and be true to you. And Mad Skills 60 says, he's 30 years old, and if he hasn't stopped acting like he was a 16-year-old by now, he never will. You're not the jerk. You're just smart enough to get away from this guy before you waste your life. And Bobby Bufflet says, not the jerk. How many other things will he not remember in the future due to his drinking habits? I mean, I think those are some good points, right? Like, this could also be that he was blackout drunk, and that he was so drunk that he doesn't remember anything, right? And that's not that even goes beyond, her, don't get drunk around me, because you can get drunk and not get blackout drunk, right? And the thing is, there's lots of red flags here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What do you call a resolution made between matcha and chai?
Oh, I know exactly what you call a resolution between matcha and chai. You call it 1440p.
A treaty.
A treaty. Ah, I like it.
And today is International Tea Day.
Yeah. My joke was a computer resolution monitor resolution thing joke, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It wasn't very good, but then I thought I would have to explain it because we just talked about someone peeing, and then I was like, wait, now that's going to sound like I'm talking about some weird pee thing, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I should clarify that this was just a very bad joke with very bad timing. Unfortunate timing. I like your treaty, though. It's very good. Speaking of treaties, I have licorice spice. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice under guidance, and please, how about a haiku for Haiku Wednesday?
Don't be so creepy. Let your kids enjoy their sport. You're making it weird.
Yeah, that's a good one. Don't write your own V.C. Andrews books.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.